1. I am a senior electrical engineer in the industrial sector. I started work at a huge firm a few weeks ago, and right off my superior detailed what was expected of me every quarter. Among the requirements were 1 safety violation report a month. I thought, okay, I could keep myself from fucking up more than once a month. This is a large factory with everything from spinning grinders to steaming corrosives, so obviously OSHA is a big issue here. But this isn't my first rodeo, so to speak. I generally know what I'm doing, so my first month goes by, and I keep everything nice and safe. And if month 1 rolls around, boss makes it clear to my surprise that the requirement is for me to file at least 1 safety violation a month. Obviously, I inquired how one could go about controlling safety violations, as they are inherently accidents, and if I had any way to influence their appearance, I would prevent them in the first place. But he just said that I need to keep my eyes open. The violations will appear. Fine, I kept my eyes open, but honestly everything seems perfectly in order. Everyone else in my department were ticking off safety violations one after another, and I was nearing the end of month 2 with nothing. I would go on walks looking for safety infringements instead of working. Something seemed off, so I looked into the Safety Violations Report Excel, and I was just stupefied. This was a list of the most unbelievably inane infractions I've ever set my eyes upon. I'll give you some examples. Infraction: cabinet door was left open in room. Someone could hit their head. Immediate mitigation: cabinet door closed. Future mitigation: add magnets to cabinet doors. There were countless other esoteric reports, like unexplained puddle next to electrical cabinet, or stack of cables on floor. I couldn't believe it. These well-educated grown men and women just writing nonsensical safety violations on absolutely anything. I tried approaching one of the guys about it, but he just said to keep my eyes open, the violations will appear. They kept repeating it like it's a mantra, then changed the subject. I thought this was ridiculous enough, but then one day a report came in about a ladder missing one of the plastic caps on its legs. Immediate mitigation: plastic cap found elsewhere and secured in its place. Now, I was the last one to use this ladder the day before, and it was perfectly fine. Which led me to the conclusion that this man was purposely sabotaging company equipment, just so he can fix it, and then write a safety violation report. I feel like I'm in an episode of The Office. Everyone I approach about this just brushes it off. Maybe it's because I'm the new guy. Anyway, I couldn't show up to my second monthly evaluation sans safety report, so I went to a random grounding cable, slightly unfastened the bolt, took a picture, and then fastened it back in place. I wrote a report about it, and the OSHA guy commended me in person about my vigilance. Is this a department-wide grift? Are the managers unaware of this farce, or are they playing along? Usually this would be a huge red flag, but everyone is otherwise really nice and the pay is great. Anyway, ideas on what I should do to sabotage next month are welcome. 2. Back in my college days in the late 90s, I worked in my college's Alumni Communication Center. In reality, it's a call center where college students work to ask the low-giving alumni for money. The college had professional folks to handle the big mega donors. I luckily wasn't a student caller, which seemed awful. I, a sophomore, was, and this was the official job title, data entry. A quick sidebar, we also had a couple of call coaches who were seniors, who would monitor callers and give them feedback on how to do a better job at asking alumni for money. Typically donations in the $100 to $250 range. When callers made a call, they recorded the outcome of the call on a sheet of paper. I would then collect these sheets and go to the sole computer in the call center and record the data. Most of the results I entered would be a no answer or left a message on a voice machine. Sometimes we got a donation, so I would enter that caller outcome into the computer and somewhere else. The alumni department would generate a donation envelope that was mailed to the alumnus, so the alumnus could then mail a check back to us. Now, about 10% of the donations would be by credit card. At the end of the night after the callers left, I would spend about 30 minutes processing the credit cards through this dial-up credit card machine. I did this without issue for 2 months, September and October. Now enters Karen, the new boss lady over the call center. She finally notices the extra 30 minutes on my timesheet each day and asks me about it sometime in late October. I tell her that I process the credit cards after everyone leaves for the night. That's how I was trained by the previous data entry person. This upsets Karen, who says I'm far too young to be handling credit card information. Makes it clear that I'm to stick to my job of only entering the caller's data, period. End of story. Data entry only. No handling the money. The money is to be handled only by the grown-ups. To be perfectly clear, these were credit card numbers handwritten on a sheet of paper, absolutely no cash money involved in my end. So, you got it, condescending Karen. I stopped processing the credit card's donations. I set them in a pile at the end of the night by the credit card machine, and with each passing night, the pile grows and grows. November ends, and this pile is now 250 pages or so thick. It also wasn't my job to ask questions like, who is processing the credit card sheets? Since the month ended and no cards were processed, Karen absolutely failed to hit her fundraising goals. She starts to berate the call coaches and the callers for not doing a good enough job. Karen starts spending more time in the call center, watching everything and everyone like a hawk. I continue to do exactly what I was told to do. One day, she would offer a prize like a college hat, and the next a long lecture about how everyone shouldn't be lazy. Over the course of December, I kept adding to the pile of unprocessed credit cards. It's a good 500 pages thick by now. Compared to the massive pile of sheets of no answers and left a message, it's not very noticeable. Naturally, someone in the alumni department has noticed that the donations coming in are down about 25% over November and December. This results in me coming back from Christmas break, where I get to meet Cool Chad, the new boss dude over the call center. He asks if my job includes processing credit cards. I told him Karen told me not to, but I was trained to process them. In fact, I am the only one who has been trained to process them. He says, cool, please do process the credit cards. Cool Chad asks if there are any unprocessed card sheets. Oh yeah, there are. Cool Chad then asks me if I could get this done over the next couple of weeks. Oh sure, no problem. I spent several hours over a couple of Saturdays processing the credit cards. Cool Chad has the absolute best January ever in the history of the call center. Why is Cool Chad Cool Chad? In February, Cool Chad gave me a raise from $8 an hour to $10 an hour. Thanks, Cool Chad. 3. So I was a sarcastic and easily annoyed guy in my 20s, and this often didn't help me get along with the older or corporate types. I was working at a certain pumpkin-colored big-box home improvement store one spring in the flooring department. It was just starting to get warm out and the store didn't have much AC. So I was looking forward to a magical date where certain employees were allowed to switch their pants for shorts. Problem is, we had a new department manager, I'll call him Dick, who was aggressively chasing a promotion to assistant manager then store manager. He thought he could accomplish that by being a super by-the-book hard-ass and being relentlessly metrics-focused. This translated into a manager who was a know-it-all micromanaging dick. Anyway, I'm scheduled to open at 5 a.m. one day, on the fabled day of cooler bottom wear, and I walk in all light and airy and bare-legged. Dick, who was overnight manager the previous night, saw me and threw a fit. "Why are you out of uniform?" he asked. "I'm not. I can wear shorts starting today," I proclaimed. "Not your position in your department. Who told you you could?" he retorted. "The employee handbook and SOP? I can show you if you don't believe me," I offered. "I know the SOP and your department doesn't get to wear shorts. That's only garden. Go home and change right now," he demanded, face getting redder from my defiance. "Oh, Dick, if that's how you want to play it, I'll be back in an hour," I sighed. "Maybe the loss of an hour's pay will teach you something." So I know better. The reason I know better is I'm one of the weirdos who actually read the entire Standard Operating Procedure document. The Employee Handbook, which is actually just a subsection of the SOP, and I really hate being wrong. So I checked the SOP before doing anything different day to day in my store. In my store, the SOP was like invoking God. If the SOP said so, that won every single argument. So I go home, change into pants, and bring my shorts back to work with me. By now, Dick's shift is over, and I ask the new morning manager on duty, Darren, to meet with me.
What? What's up?
Oh, just an SOP issue.
Oh, okay. Give me like 10 minutes.
So I swung by my desk and printed out several things. One, my latest pay stub that included my official job title and department number. Two, the company directory that listed the department names and their associated numbers. Three, the SOP that dealt with when and which departments employees can wear shorts. Four, the annual email from the regional VP confirming which departments could wear shorts starting when, which also included the line, and this letter is to be posted at the time clock between the dates of, and then gave the dates. 5. The SOP detailing the company transportation and mileage reimbursement policy. 6. A Google Maps route that mirrored the route I take to and from work, with the total mileage highlighted. So I meet with Darren and explain what happened and handed him each page in turn as they became relevant. At the end, we agreed that I was right on every single count, and asked me what I wanted. 1. I want the time. I was turned away before I could clock in, so I want to be paid starting 5 a.m. Feel free to check the CCTV if you want to confirm when I arrived. 2. I want the mileage, because Dick sent me on essentially a company errand with my own vehicle through no fault of my own. 3. I want this letter posted at the clock like it says it's supposed to be. 4. I want you to talk to Dick about this, because I told him this was SOP before he sent me home. 5. I'm changing back into my shorts.
All of that sounds more than fair. Get the paperwork for the clock adjustment and mileage to me today and I'll sign it.
The letter mysteriously went missing from the time clock the next day, but I replaced it every day until I happened to see Dick angrily snatch it off the board and throw it away. I reported that as well, and the letter stopped going missing. He didn't talk to me much, and I was transferred to another department a month later, so all in all, win-win, I think. 4. Brief history. My dad worked for the worst slumlord ever. The pay was phenomenal, and he had his own company card, free apartment, and he ran the show. Most of the guy's rentals were in the crappiest areas, rundown houses, high-crime areas. My dad did this for 18 years, and I assisted him quite often. Not only did he do all of the maintenance, we also had to do lawn care and snow removal. For 25 properties, some units were single-dwelling, but most were 3 or 4 units per property. My dad may have done a little slacking, but not much, due to there always being something wrong at a unit. We would have inspections yearly, and any time there was trash at a unit fixing to be inspected, Chris, the owner, would have us move it to my dad's unit. Eventually it way piled up. Now we could go buy anything and everything that was needed for bringing a unit up to code, which honestly never got brought up to code. We did the best we could, but Chris always wanted bare minimum done. So Dad would be forced to hide stuff from inspectors. Anyway, my dad had a heart attack and died right in front of me, but we got him back, and after having a defibrillator and pacemaker, he's great. The owner and my dad were like super close. So I told Chris I could take over till my dad got better, and we could return to work. My dad encouraged this. Then on Father's Day, they installed the defibrillator and pacemaker. Chris fired and evicted my dad while he was on the operating table, because he was so pissed about the trash at Dad's unit, which Chris told him to put there. It was a ton, which took me and a crew a week to clean out, because we had an inspection there in a week. Filled 2 40-yarders, so after 18 years, Dad lost his home, his independence, and his job. With Dad's urging, I kept the job. For 3 years, I ran the show on my own. I did everything. Laid carpet, repaired electrical, all inspectors. For 3 years, I would secretly buy the tenants whatever they asked for, basically. And they never checked my receipts. Now, you must take into account the way Chris would speak to me and the tenants like we were trash. My house cost more than his, but I believe everyone is equal. You're not above me because you own rentals and you're a lawyer. Hell, I had 4 kids, 1 disabled, and still ran things great. Anyway, Chris and I would get into it all the time for the way he treated the tenants and myself. He's racist and feels superior to women. One week I had 3 inspections in a day. Each inspection had 3 units, so basically 9 units. Our worst, grossest units, so I hired a team to help. We worked non-stop all weekend till 6 a.m. the day of the inspection. I even had to build a wall in the basement out of cement to seal off the crap crammed in the basement. We passed all inspections, then he refused to pay me and my crew, saying I lied about hours. Now, the owner never goes to properties, some he bought on scene. These are run-down, dilapidated homes that took forever to get up to code. So when he screamed at me in front of tenants, I'd finally had enough and quit. I stored all equipment at my place, including some trash from evictions. I have 10 acres in BFE. He told me to bring him all his stuff and keys, and refused to pay anyone. So I went to my place, loaded my truck, and drove back to his office, at which he owns a building and leases about 20 other offices to doctors, dentists, and other lawyers, and is very concerned with never looking bad whatsoever. So I pull up to the front entrance and dropped truckload number 1 of eviction trash. He tripped out, told me if I'd come get it, he'd pay me and my crew, and I could keep all the maintenance equipment, which totaled roughly 10 grand. It was the ultimate revenge for me. I also turned him into the housing authority. 5. Many years ago, I had a going-away party for a friend. We had people of all ages over, from kids to elderly ones. I had a ping-pong table in the basement and left out paddles for people to play. One of the kids was approximately 18 years old and was flapping his mouth about how fantastic he was at ping-pong. He went on to say he'd played in France for the summer and they had some kind of tournament he won, blah blah blah. Several people had played ping-pong at this point and he got a paddle, and he won the game against his opponent. The mouth proceeds to get even more hyperbolic and obnoxious. He asks for his next victim, and most are tired of listening to him, so a little guy about 11 years old goes to play. He's obviously very new to the game, and bounces a ball too high, and of course, the hero of our story goes for smashes every time. The little guy keeps flinching and trying to hide from the ball when it comes screaming past him. Eventually he gives up. So I figure it's my turn to see if I can turn the tables on him. Sorry, I couldn't resist that one. I'm no pro, and as a matter of fact, I had never learned to play fast because my parents' place growing up had no room for fast. I did, however, know how to play with spins on the ball, and I had bought myself a very sticky paddle now. He lets me warm up for a couple of minutes, and I play straight the whole game. And then the fun began. He announces to the room we're going to rally for serve, and after the third bounce back, I give the ball a good spin left. His return sends it off to the side of the table, and I get first serve. I do 2 serves with the spin, which he sends off the table, but he almost returns the second one, so I switch to a right spin, which now goes widely off the table. He is complaining there's something wrong with his paddle, to which I say it seemed to work just fine the last 2 games. Did he break the paddle? He's now muttering to himself, and now it's my turn to get loud. What's going on, Mr. Bully? I thought you were fantastic at this game. I'm old and slow, and can't even hit hard like you can. Surely you can beat me. I keep switching the spins until my turn to serve is over. He hadn't put 1 ball on the table yet, so it's 5-0. Now he's got the ball in hand and feeling much more confident, and when he serves it I play straight for a few volleys, which encourages him to get cocky again. And the mouth returns. I play into it and make like I'm having a hard time keeping up, and then the perfect ball comes to me, and I execute what I hope is going to be the coup de grace. I return the ball and make it go nice and high. He eagerly and loudly goes for it. He winds up and smashes the ball in a return. I don't remember which spin I put in that ball, all I know is it went wildly off into space, with everyone watching due to his yelling as he smashed it. As a finishing touch, I said loudly to him, "Hey, table's over here. What were you going for?" At a sad 6-0 score, Mr. Bully remembers he needs to go upstairs all of a sudden. I don't mind healthy competition, or even trash talking, but being an obnoxious bully, even against little kids, pushes my buttons. So I got my little PettyRevenge on him. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Revenge's Ice Cream, episode 248. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Please hit the like button before you go, thank you kindly. Before we go on, we have a little shout out to do today, and that goes to the author of the final story. That's Reddit user Shadow Wolf, or Shadow Wolf. It's spelled with a U, so I think Wolf, but I could be wrong. Thank you very much for allowing us to use your story. Alright, I don't think there's any other business for today, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, as we've just had Easter go by, what other holiday do you think they could or should make pointless hollow chocolate effigies for? I, for one, elect David Hasselhoff Day. You can already buy Hoffsicles. Yes, that is a thing, don't trust me, look it up. And quite frankly, I would very much enjoy biting the head off a milk chocolate David Hasselhoff. Not in a malicious way. Maybe fill it with caramel or something. Let me know what you think in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.